Yes! 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 Let's go! Let's fucking go! Fuck yes! Fuck yeah, motherfuckers! Woo! Screw doing an intro and plugging everything. We're starting with this right now. Superman 2025 is astonishing. It is the best comic to screen adaptation for not only Superman movies, no, but for all superhero movies in general. Let's get this out of the way right now. 20 out of 20, 100%, A+. As of right now, it's my number one favorite movie of 2025 and is most likely going to be added to one of my favorite movies of all time. You did it. James Gunn, you crazy son of a bitch. You did it. I should probably stop with all the swearing in this episode, but I'll bleep it anyways. Fuck it. Before we dissect the greatness that is this motion picture, we need to go back. We need to go back to Christopher Reeve's Superman saga. For close to 50 years, these films were regarded as the premier Superman films. They're all amazing, mainly 1 and 2, but each one has its moments. The one major thing that they get right is the humanization of Superman. These are the movies I grew up with, and rumor has it that a very young 6-year-old Mr. Braeden felt like reenacting the kryptonite chained pool scene that was in the first Superman movie. Let's just say that 1, my parents were upset that I went into the pool alone, unsupervised, and 2, they were pretty mad that I got my Superman costume pajamas wet with chlorine-rich pool water, but hey, I needed to see how long I could hold my breath, and I needed to test my chops as a credible actor. Let's move on to the year 2006 with Brandon Routh's Superman Returns. This was the first movie I ever saw that made me realize movies can be boring. Brandon was a great Superman, but in a boring Superman movie. Fast forward to 2013, Man of Steel. Hot off the serious and dark trails of the Dark Knight trilogy, Henry Cavill was a great Superman in an incredibly lifeless and bland Superman movie. F off Snyderverse fans, you know I'm right. 3 years later, Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. I overhyped this movie the entirety of my senior year of high school. I see it and realize Zack Snyder isn't that good of a director. Calm down, internet. He's a great cinematographer. Not so good of a writer and director, though. Other than maybe 300, but even still. Henry Cavill was done dirty. He was the perfect casting choice for the Man of Steel, but got shuffled back and forth through lackluster movies in an era of DC films that didn't even know what their own continuity was. He was demoted to cameo material and our fan fiction. This is a DC problem, Zack Snyder problem, and Warner Brothers problem. It's not Henry Cavill's. Enter James Gunn. James has captured the essence of what makes Superman Superman. What makes comic books and superheroes magical. Let's go over the casting first. David Cornsweet as Clark Kent and Superman. The duality is perfect. The mannerisms both play homage to the former Superman, but David also makes it authentically his own. He adds a level of empathy, realism, innocence, and, wait for it, hope to the character. He doesn't just play Superman, he embodies Superman. He's just a guy with extraordinary abilities that's just trying to do the right thing. He's vulnerable, empathetic, relatable, complex, and is simply human in every sense of the word. David isn't afraid to show the many different emotional states of Clark and Superman. We also get the sense that this isn't Superman at his prime yet. He's been at this for only 3 years, and he's been doing things a certain way. But in doing so, he's become predictable. That's why the story, aka the movie, starts where it starts, to show Superman's growth from the beginning of the film to the end of the film's runtime. David plays this character growth beautifully. I also love how much David loves Star Wars and is willing to and will eventually bring it up in every interview or press junket that he does. Nicholas Hoult was an amazing Lex Luthor. He was evil. He was manipulative. He was a proper narcissistic, petty psychopath. I'm not the biggest fan of over-humanizing the villains and making them justified in their pursuit of power. I don't mind it really. When it's done right, it's amazing, but I feel as if it's been overdone. But Lex, man, he's obsessed. He's petty. Although he's a brilliant genius, scientifically speaking, he's reckless. He has the emotional maturity of an 11-year-old. He doesn't think of the potential implications of his actions. He's only after personal gain, and the only person standing in his way of the world domination is essentially Superman. He knows how the game is played and uses his wealth and power to manipulate the truth. With all that being said, none of this would have been possible to know without the performance by Nicholas Hoult. Probably the best performance in the entire film. He's incredible. This has to be a defining comic book role for him. His Beast was decent, but this is like Tom Hiddleston Loki levels of amazing. Moving on to Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane. She was awesome. This is Lois Lane, a no-nonsense, fearless reporter that sometimes bites off more than she can chew. Rachel played this perfectly to a T. Her chemistry of David was also awesome. Glad to hear that those two had chemistry testing auditions together for this movie, and it shows why they were chosen as Lois and Clark. She's fierce, she's a force to be reckoned with, and she's not afraid to get her hands dirty and do the right thing. Rachel is my favorite version of Lois Lane so far. Job well done. Seriously, awesome job. Moving on to the supporting cast, let's go over the Justice Gang first. Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner, Isabella Merced as Hawkgirl, Eddie Gaffney as Mr. Terrific, and Anthony Carrigan as Metamorpho. Everyone was awesome. Hawkgirl didn't get that much of play in this, but she was a proper badass and quite scary in her moral code at some points. Nathan Fillion as Guy Gardner Green Lantern was great. He was a moron. He was a dick. He was a hothead. He was simply Guy Gardner. Metamorpho didn't get too much play as well, but he did have a very good emotional arc that was pivotal to the overall movie's plot. Anthony Carrigan is also a DC alum who has played so many different bad guys in so many different shows, such as The Flash, Gotham, and many more. Saving the best for last though here, Eddie killed it as Mr. Terrific. I cannot wait to see how he interacts with the Batman of the DCU, because Mr. Terrific is not only a badass, but is also just so tired of being the smartest person in the room. He's over it at this point. Amazing performance. Also, Eddie got done dirty by X-Men playing Darwin, so I'm so happy that he got this Mr. Terrific role. Other notable performances that were good were Skylar Gisondo, I don't think I'm saying that name right, as Jimmy Olsen. It was funny that he was a player. It's funny. Maria Gabriela De Faria as the engineer was frightening. Very good and menacing portrayal of the engineer. Alan Tudyk as Superman Robot 4. It's always good to hear his voice in anything. He's another amazing DC alum, being in shows like Harley Quinn, Doom Patrol, and Creature Commandos. Neva Howell and Prute Taylor-Vince were fun as Ma and Pa Kent. They didn't get a lot of screen time, but I did really enjoy the small town USA vibes they gave off. Just living a simple and humble way of life. Wendell Pierce didn't get enough screen time as Perry White, but when he was on the screen, it was awesome. And Beck Bennett and Michaela Hoover as Steve Lombard and Cat Grant was taken right out of my adventures with Superman. It was super fun, very fun to see their performances. The visual and special effects were stunning. I don't think I need to go into too much detail about this, but the effects were great, and they should be for a movie that costed over $200 million to make. The costumes were ripped right out of the comics and were made more practical and somewhat tactical for live action. So yeah, just job well done overall for the effects and the arts department. It's crazy how good a movie can look when you don't rush or overwork your team. I've heard the critique that the plot was convoluted, making it somewhat complex and hard to follow at points, and I do agree that it was complex, but it felt just as complex as any other Superman comic or any other James Gunn movie, and I think it was capable of being a little convoluted and complex at times because it flowed so well. And as the movie progressed, you found out more about the plot, and by the end of the movie, everything made perfect sense. So, to be honest, I had no problem following along. My wife had no problem following along. She's not even that much of a superhero fan, but she was pointing out Easter eggs in the movie as we were watching it. So for her to be able to do that and follow along with the story shows me that the movie isn't too hard to follow. The direction by James Gunn was just so well executed. He managed to make the best comic-to-screen adaptation ever. It's not recency bias, it's just a fact. He had a clear vision, he had a clear goal, clear messaging, and made a good movie. I'll even dare to say he made a timeless movie. He recently said that he doesn't believe in superhero fatigue, but instead, he believes in mediocre movie fatigue. And this is an incredible new perspective that I wish I would have thought of, because man, is it true. He's so fine-tuned to all of these little details about the movie industry and about comic books. He's just so fine-tuned to everything around him. He's been one of my inspirations ever since Scooby-Doo, but primarily the Guardians of the Galaxy. But he just knows how to turn cartoons and comics into reality without losing any of its awe, magic, or wonder. My honest critiques, man, I don't really have any. This was everything I wanted this movie to be, everything I needed this movie to be, and more. I went in pretty open-minded, but I'd be lying to say I wasn't over the moon excited and hyped for this. So yeah, that's why this has to get a very easy 20 out of 20, 100% A+, easily my movie of the year. Okay, we're gonna go into a couple spoiler things. So spoilers in 3, 2, 1, spoiler time. First off, I love the opening text scroll, talking about 300 years of metahumans, the arrival of Superman, Superman's involvement with foreign affairs, and leading to Supes being beaten by the Hammer, aka Ultraman, aka a Superman clone. I loved all of it. Speaking of which, yeah, it was quite obvious that Ultraman was a clone of Superman, especially when he was able to just walk into the Fortress of Solitude. It was pretty predictable, but I was hoping it was going to be either Henry Cavill or even Brandon Routh as Ultraman. I thought it would be just a little fun cameo, but I do think that they made the right choice having David Cornsweet playing the clone of Ultraman, because it's his clone, it's Superman's clone, so it makes sense. I also don't think that Ultraman is dead. Superman did throw him into a black hole, but come on guys, no one ever stays dead in these types of movies. I think he'll either become Ultraman of Earth 3, like in the comics with the Crime Syndicate of America, or a version of Bizarro. And yeah, he is a little bit dumb, but there was a scene where he overheard Lex's girlfriend talking, and then he just took her out, so he's not a complete imbecile. Also, yes, I do think James Gunn took some inspiration with this whole Ultraman clone thing from The Boys, the comic book. I will not spoil that comic storyline, but if you know, you know. Hawkgirl straight up murders the bad dictator guy. It makes her a lot more scary of a character. The evil dictator dude was pretty much like, "You won't kill me, you're just like Superman." And she was like, "Nah, I'm nothing like Superman," and just drops his ass from like hundreds of feet in the air. It's cool to me that there are so many different moral codes upon all the different superheroes. You see Superman that is literally saving squirrels and saving people in the city while fighting the kaiju. And then you have people like Hawkgirl that is just like, "No, this guy's a bad guy, I'm just going to drop him and let him die." So it's very interesting. Everyone has a different alignment in D&D terms. So yeah, very, very cool to see. The Justice Gang fights an interdimensional imp. So it's either Mixaspiclet, I know I butchered the name, but it is supposed to be hard to pronounce. Or more probably Batmite, who has been confirmed exists in Peacemaker. So it was probably Batmite if I had to take a guess. Lex builds a pocket universe, like in Peacemaker, but it's super rugged looking and dangerous. He has people trapped in there like ex-girlfriends and monkeys spreading cyber hate on social media against Superman, which is super weird, but it is funny. And yeah, Mr. Terrific stated several times that this is why you don't create a pocket universe, and Lex, being Lex, threw all precaution to the wind and did it for his own personal gain and satisfaction, which in turn became the major cinematic final act set piece of the movie, with the Pocket Universe trying to tear the world in half. What a dick. Maxwell Lord said it best. One thing that we can all agree on is that Lex Luthor sucks. Speaking of the devil, Lex is super evil. He straight up shoots a dude doing Russian roulette in this movie. He's just a petty, obsessive psychopath. Just a career-defining role for Nicholas Hoult. Also, it was incredibly funny to see Lex get destroyed by Krypto, just get ragdolled by the dog. It was hilarious. Speaking of Krypto, he's not Superman's dog. He's Supergirl's dog. Supergirl is in this movie, being played by Millie Alcock. She looks great. I know she's gonna kill it. And yeah, that's the next big DCU movie, so I cannot wait. I was hoping, though, for Jason Momoa's Lobo to show up in at least one of the 2 post-credit scenes, but I suppose I'll have to wait for Supergirl. Also, the 2 post-credit scenes are very simple. One is Superman and Krypto sitting on the moon looking at Earth, and the other one is Superman being a accidentally ignorant jerk to Mr. Terrific, who is trying to fix a building after the crack that was separating the world got refused together. And it was just very funny, very simple. Another thing, Jor-El and Lara, aka Superman's Kryptonian parents, are in fact pretty evil. I'm not opposed to that, really. I think it's interesting, and it has happened in the comics. But I 100% understand if this reveal wasn't for you. Pretty much, Clark only ever heard one half of his parents' recordings, and when the engineer decodes the second half, well, it turns out that Jor-El sent him here to rule over all humans and take a harem of wives and have lots of Kryptonian babies, which then led to Superman being cancelled. It was a very interesting storyline. It was over the top, but I thought it was funny and was an interesting twist. Plus, Bradley Cooper plays Jor-El. That's such a twist. I think he would have been an even better Hal Jordan, but it's good to see him in some form in this universe and in this movie. But yeah, that's pretty much all the spoilers I wanted to touch upon. Just go out and see the movie yourself. There were also apparently names of all the old heroes like Alan Scott Green Lantern and Jay Garrick Flash in the Hall of Justice, but I'm not sure on all of them, and I also didn't see them in the movie, so it's just another reason for me to go see the movie again. Side note, the Easter egg that my wife saw was Big Belly Burger. We're currently watching the Flash CW series, and she got very excited when she saw Big Belly Burger, so it was a very proud nerd husband moment for me. I am so excited for the future of the DCU. James Gunn has truly created a cinematic universe that has a little something for everybody. From over-the-top blood and guts in shows like Creature Commandos and Peacemaker, to family-friendly films like Superman that is a story full of hope, triumph, and what should be considered universally appreciated human values. I like that every project feels different. The tone, the setting, the moral messaging and meaning, aesthetic, everything. It's good to have everything connected in a shared cinematic universe without making every movie or series in your franchise feel the same. I love the diversity that James Gunn and Peter Safran have created for the DCU. I'll leave you all with simply this. To me, this is Superman. This is how Superman is in every medium. Comics, animated series, animated films, the classic Chris Reeve films, etc. Hell, even Superman Returns with Brandon Routh. This is the most authentic interpretation and the best comic-to-screen adaptation of any superhero. Is this bold to say? Sure. But to me, it's true. Superman is supposed to be vulnerable. He isn't unstoppable. He is resilient. He doesn't quit, and he is hope incarnate. Despite of all of his powers, all of his abilities, at the end of the day, his greatest superpower is his humanity. And guess what? They say this in this movie. Anyone who truly knows the ideology of Superman will love this movie. Whether or not it's from watching the 90s animated show, reading the comics, enjoying the Chris Reeve films, regardless of the medium, if you know Superman, you're probably going to love this movie. And if you love this movie, odds are you probably love Superman. For those who don't like this movie, I think it says maybe more about you as a person than the movie itself. For whatever reason it may be, that's okay. But this, to me, this is Superman. But let me know what you all think about Superman the movie. Make sure you all comment, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and follow on social media. All the handles are on the screen now. Thank you all for supporting. If you're one of the constant watchers / listeners of the channel, thank you so much. I appreciate it. If you'd like to support me more, you can go on prowrestlingtees.com / Cutthroat Batson Jones for the low price of a new t-shirt for $15.99. Another huge update is that I will be re-releasing Beach Brawl Falls Count Anywhere on July 27th. This was the first cinematic style wrestling match I did against Wyatt Tordson, my bitter enemy. This includes all the promos on my part that came before it and the match itself in one nice compilation. So make sure you keep your eyes open for that. Thanks again, and next time we'll be talking about all things WWE and AEW, especially All in Texas. So, as always, have a great day. Savvy!
Whoa, Black Betty, bam, bam, whoa, Black Betty, bam, bam, Black Betty had a child.